To put the interest rates up anymore.
You don't think?
Okay,
We should not put them up anymore.
folks, I think we're ready to go now. We're live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the November 3rd, 2022 Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules meeting. And I think before we get started, we'll go around and introduce ourselves, and we'll start with Senator Bray.
Good morning. My name's Chris Bray. I live in Bristol, Vermont, and I'm one of the two senators representing the Madison Senate District.
And I'm Representative Mark Higley, and I live in Lowell, and I represent the Orleans-Lamoille District.
I'm Carol Odie. I represent the far new north end of Burlington.
Seth Bongartz, I live in Manchester and represent Burlington 4, which includes Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and Sunderland.
I'm Joe Benning. I live in Linden and I represent the Caledonia District as it's currently comprised, which means all of Caledonia County, 6 northeasternmost towns in Orange County, and it's about to be split up after the last reapportionment, so it'll be a lot smaller next year.
Representative Trevor Squirrel, representing Underhill and Jericho.
Anthea Dexter Cooper from the Office of Legislative Counsel.
Charlene Dindo, Committee Assistant.
Okay, welcome. First item on the agenda, the minutes from October 20th. Motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I believe we need seconds for motion, so a discussion.
Just to let you know, I was not there, so question.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, the first rule that's up today is 22E15, Department for Children and Families Transitional Housing Program Emergency Rules. I think Heidi Moreau is here representing the Department of Children and Families. Before we get started, as you'll remember, we had a discussion. It was on our agenda for the last meeting, and we voted to postpone action on that rule until this meeting. So I'll just give a little recap of the conversation. There were 3 committees of jurisdiction, their chairs, that had sent letters to this committee indicating that the rule did not meet legislative intent. We had a conversation around that. Excuse me. And since that time, well, actually, as part of a conversation with the department, there was an expectation that there was some analysis going on around the programmatic and financial impacts of the rule change, as we anticipated it being and what they were proposing. And it was supposed to be forthcoming for this meeting so that we could have that discussion and then make a decision about the rule and moving forward. That hasn't happened. Representative Bongartz, myself, and Ledge Counsel Anthea met with the administration on Monday morning to sort of talk about where we are, get a little background on what's been going on. And they let us know that that information was not forthcoming and that it'll be available for the Joint Fiscal Committee meeting, which will be on November 9th, next week. In my conversations with the 3 chairs that did in fact send letters to this committee, their feeling is that they would want to continue that postponement until after the Joint Fiscal Committee has received that information from the administration, which means this would be up for conversation on the 17th if this committee decides that that's where they want to go with this. So that's what I have. So I think I'll turn first to Heidi Moreau, Ms. Moreau, and say if she has any comments, and please correct me if you think I haven't gotten sort of the facts correct. And the same is true with the committee if you think I may not have gotten it correct. Welcome.
Thank you. No, that was an accurate summary of where we stand at this point, and I don't have anything further to add.
So is there any discussion amongst committee members?
I just
Senator Bray.
a quick question for the committee and Ms. Moreau. It seems fairly clear we're heading towards postponing action in order to get more information. I'm just wanting to make sure that the request we've sent to the department is well understood on their side, and that there's no question about what are we waiting for in terms of information.
Ms. Moreau?
Yes, at the meeting on Monday, Katerina Lizeas, she's the policy advisor to the commissioner. I believe she understands the ask and what data the department is expected to provide.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Senator Bray.
So pending further action or further discussion, I would move then that we postpone action on Rule 2215, Department for Children and Families, Transitional Housing Program Emergency Rules, until the next meeting of LCAR on the 17th.
More discussion? All those in favor of the motion from Senator Bray regarding transitional housing, please say aye. Aye. Those nay? Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Morrell.
Thank you.
Okay, the next rule up is 22E16, Public Utility Commission, PUC Emergency Rule 2.500, COVID-19 Emergency Procedures. For the commission, Steph Hoffman.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I'm Steph Hoffman. I'm the Deputy General Counsel with the Public Utility Commission, and with me today is Ann Bishop, the Operations Director. This is the same emergency procedure rule that has been approved by LCAR on 5 separate occasions since April 2020. And the purpose of this rule briefly has been to amend various filing and procedural requirements and provide alternative procedures to reduce and eliminate in-person contact, and also reduce the risk of exposure to COVID-19 for members of the public and commission staff. The changes that you see in redline to this version of the emergency rule are all made to facilitate the transition from the emergency rule to permanent rules that the commission has been working on, consistent with the Supreme Court's statement regarding Administrative Order 49. We basically adopt that language into Section 2.501A to explain the commission's transition away from the emergency rule into permanent rules and procedures. So we've reformatted 2 of the subsections of the rule to allow for the transition based on the permanent rules that would go into effect. And we've deleted references to what is now obsolete, the obsolete portions of Administrative Order 49. So those are the only changes that are reflected in this rule besides a date change. And after submitting the rule to the Secretary of State, to ICAR, and to LCAR, the Commission posted this rule consistent with all of our emergency and permanent rules to our website on the homepage and our rules page, as well as opened a rulemaking case in our e-filing system called ePUC, and we have not received any comments on this rule to date. So with that, I'll leave it to any questions that the committee has.
Committee? Seems pretty straightforward. Senator Bray.
Mr. Chair, pending further discussion, I would move approval of Rule 22E16, Public Utility Commission, PUC Rule 2.500, COVID-19 Emergency Procedures.
Okay, we have a motion from Senator Bray to approve Rule 22E16. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Is the other person up here?
Oh, that's Ann Bishop. She's the operations director for the PUC. She was just backup for
Oh, okay.
Steph Hoffman.
She was still there, so. Okay. All right, before we end this meeting, and this is a short meeting, but I appreciate you being here. I think in a different world or a different time, we would have pushed these rules off to the next meeting, just because of travel. But when you look at the 17th and you look what's on the docket, it's just hard. Well, we'll push one rule anyway, but I think we know where we're going to be with that. The 17th, because of a number of issues, there was 5 rules. What is it with the AHS?
Yep, the HBE rules.
Yeah. We were going to do those now, but because Senator Lyons with surgery and things like that, I think things got pushed out. She wanted to be part of that conversation. We just received the Clean Car 2 rule. And along with that, the wood heat rule, which there's a reason why they're connected. And because of timing, we're going to end up on the 17th with those also. We had a pesticide rule, which we've since pushed out to December 1st. Okay.
December 1st. Okay.
Yeah, so we got more time.
That's not been pushed. Okay. as
Yeah,
well.
that's been pushed out.
Okay.
It's my suggestion that meeting on the 17th be a 3-hour meeting to give enough time to have conversation, because there's going to be a lot of conversation around the Clean Car 2 rule. And I think there's probably some conversation around the AHS rules too. So, and want to make sure we allow enough time and not bump up against an artificial window. And who knows, maybe 3 hours not enough, but I think that's sufficient for that. Anthea and I were talking a little bit about the Clean Car 2 and some of the timing issues. The agency's concerned about December 1, where they had to enact certain things we feel is a moot point because of some of the timing.
I actually did look, and it's adopt by December 1.
Okay,
So theoretically.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, and I apologize. I got you incorrect information. So
Okay.
theoretically, if you were to approve it on November 17th, they could adopt by that December 1 deadline.
Okay.
It does not change the fact that under statute, you get your 45 days to review it, which is at least 2 meetings because they filed it on November 1. And the real deadline in terms of implementation for model year 2026 is January 2nd of 2023. So you could get your full 45 days and it could be effective by then. So I apologize. I checked the Global Warming Solutions
All
Act.
right, so we're not really up against it as much as we thought we were.
Right.
Okay. But it is going to be a long meeting. The other challenge for this committee is that we know that Senator McDonald, he will not be back at that point. I did speak with Senator McDonald on Tuesday, doing well. He's going to be moving from Fanny Allen to Woodridge in Berlin next week, but don't know what the timeline is right now, right? So, and I've already have a commitment for the 17th to be not here. So, and I can't change that commitment. So we had a conversation about what process would be in place. And the process would be for Anthea to open up the meeting, and then the committee would decide who the chair would be for that particular meeting. So.
You're talking about expanding it an hour, what direction? Because
I was thinking
2 o'clock
I was
appointment.
thinking to 1 o'clock. Would that work for you?
It's going to be a little tight on my end.
How about 9:30 to 12:30?
That would be easier.
Do I have any objection to that? Okay. So we'll go in that direction, okay with that. And we're also expecting that Senator Lyons will be back with us too, so.
What was the time frame again?
9:30 to 12:30. So keeping the 3-hour window. Does that work for you, Representative Higley?
Yep.
Okay. And that's for the meeting on the 17th.
That's the 17th, yes. And so we are going to have enough time then to do the work that we need to do. It's just going to be a lot of conversation and discussion.
And then do you want to do the wood heat rule?
Yeah.
At least put it on the
Let's do
agenda.
that. Let's do that.
And then
Go ahead.
the reason why the wood heat rule and the advanced clean cars 2 rule are sort of traveling together for DEC purposes is that the wood heat rule, in addition to making changes to the wood heat rule, repeals the current clean car rule, which is then adopted as its own rule. So DEC would not be able to adopt and have the effect of the clean car rule until the wood heat rule is also approved and adopted. So one rule, the wood heat rule, makes changes to the wood heat rule and repeals the existing clean car rule, and the other rule adopts. That's why you don't see an annotated text for that one as an entirely new rule, the clean car, advanced clean cars 2 and related rules. That makes sense? I'll try again. The rules are, for DEC's purposes, traveling as a pair, because one rule is adopting as a new rule, advanced clean cars 2 and related provisions from California. And the other rule, the wood heat rule, is making changes to the existing wood heat rule and repealing what would then be an obsolete rule on advanced clean cars.
Have to go together.
Senator Bray.
So it's fine however we're doing it. I'm just curious because I always thought of rules as a new rule just supersedes or replaces an earlier rule, and that we don't have a separate rule to repeal the prior version. Like, why are we doing this? It feels like an extra step.
So the reason why I think, and you might want to ask DEC about this, the reason why they're doing it is because the LevZev, the car piece, is currently like a section within another chapter, and they want it to be its own chapter in its like existing rules. So
this is kind of a housekeeping.
Yes, and it's allowing them to organize the rules in the way that they think they should be organized. And this was not something that LCAR dictated or ICAR dictated. I believe this was the way that DEC wanted to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Does it then matter which order we do this in?
It does not matter which order LCAR does things in, but if you were to approve either rule first, they are going to have them become like effective together, because they wouldn't want there to be a gap in there not being the LevZev clean car rule, and they wouldn't want there to be an instance where there were two competing iterations of it. So whatever order LCAR takes them up in, they're waiting for both approvals or the lapse of the 45 days before they can move forward. And then my guess is they'll be adopted on the same day, just like they were filed with you on the same day, and made effective 15 days thereafter under the APA.
So it's possible you could have two different rulings on two different rules.
Yep. And then they'll have to figure out what they want to do about that.
So if I could, so the Clean Car 2 rules are in our packet, the new packet that's.
The clean car one is, the wood heat rule is not, I'm going to mail it to you because I didn't know what date the meeting was going to be. So that will go out this afternoon to you.
Okay, great, thanks.
In the packet, your packets are.
Yep.
Is your inability to come by one day, or are you going to be gone for a period of time?
I'm gone all that week except Monday. I mean, I guess that's possible.
You could move it to Monday.
No, you'd be missing me if you do.
What's that?
You'd be missing me if you do. I'm at court that day.
Okay.
Next day would be Thanksgiving, which probably isn't going to work.
Yeah, but the following week's not really an option. I mean, I think people would have problems with that. Yeah, I mean, we could do Monday, but I think it's easier to keep the same schedule than it is to change the schedule, and we're swapping. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense either. I'm sure Anthea can do a great job. Managed it.
Presiding over the one small task of electing. I hope there's a volunteer though.
Is everyone still okay with just leaving it the 17th? Okay.
I thought if it was missing by one.
No, I understand, yeah. I had given some thought to that, but yeah. Okay, any other conversation or discussion, Senator Bray?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, because the transitional housing rules had there's ongoing work, there's controversy behind it. So we're figuring it out as we go. I'm just wondering, prior to that meeting, how we might I'll be curious to figure out sort of what the chair's take is, or if council has done additional work on it, or just so that we come into the meeting kind of up to speed, especially if you're not going to be able to be.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we have information prior to that, whether that's written or, we have some limitations on getting together outside of committee, so you got to be careful with that. But we'll make sure that there's some communication around that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? I appreciate you all coming today. I really do. It's much appreciated.
Well, in the words of former Representative Linda Myers, I move we adjourn.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks.